Alright, so the Black Friday event in Dinosaur Simulator is finally here, and for those of you who know, the update actually came out yesterday, but then there was a glitch with the limited egg system where this costed 0 SDNA, so people were able to spam by on the limited egg, and there were like hundreds of free skins that got obtained. Surprisingly, they actually rolled back the data, so for those of you guys who got the free stuff, you lost the skins, and they also refunded people who used Robux, which is nice. But yeah, let's talk about the limited egg system. So basically, they revamped the entire egg. You can actually see all the dinos now, and they also removed the rotation, where there would be 5 dinos every day, which might sound good because now you don't have to wait for the skin you like to be on sale, but after taking a look at the rates here, I actually think it got worse for the game because let's just take a look at the rates here. The rarest dino is the Pitch Wraith Terror, which is 1 out of 20,000. There's a 1 in 20,000 chance. I think that's what that means. Correct me here if I'm wrong, but it looks like that's what it's trying to say, 1 out of 20,000. And then if we scroll back up, the most common dinos are 1 out of 10. Which I think is like astronomically low rates. And I don't even want to do the math for that because it's just so low. I think for like Albino Terra and Megavore, it's 0.01% that you get this, which is just extremely low. So yeah, I do not recommend using the limited egg. The Robux prices aren't terrible, especially for 25 spins, but the rates are just not it. And you can see the pity point system. I think this thing is supposed to cost 20,000 pity points, and for every roll you get 25 points. If we're doing the math here, it would take 300 spins to buy the Albino Terror or Megavore from pity points, and it would take 800 rolls to get the Pitch Wraith Terror, which I think is just a lot. I get this is permanent to the game, so it'll just be there always, which honestly, if you're trying to get Albino Terror and Megavore, just grind 1,000,000 DNA and then get it through trading if it's still worth around 1,000,000, because doing this is way too tedious and is just not worth it. I cannot recommend anyone do the limited egg, but for the sake of the video, I will try to hatch 1 egg. Let's go. Okay, that's 1,000 SDNA, and we got the Love Bug skin, which is blue rarity. The second worst rarity. Yeah, do not do this. Okay, now let's go on to the fun stuff now, which is the new skins. Some of the skins are pretty reasonably priced, like the Pitch Black Megalodon here, coming in at 4,500 DNA. Let's just buy that right now. Some of the skins are not, like the Pitch Black Moray Oxalaia, which is 1,000,000 DNA. So it turns out I was right about that DNA stuff. They were just justifying the prices. And believe it or not, that's not the only skin that's expensive. The Pitch Black Baryonyx is also 1,000,000 DNA. And it doesn't stop there because the Pitch Black Elasmosaurus is 1,000,000 as well. And then there's more. There's the Pitchy Gator. I don't know what it is. It looks like a Blackodile recolor. This is the Blackodile, by the way. I think it's literally just a Blackodile recolor, and it costs 1.2 million DNA. They teased the cat ears Blackodile. I don't see it anywhere here. Maybe they abandoned that idea and replaced it with the Pitchy Gator. But yeah, 1.2 million is insane. Margosaurus, Rake Father. This is pretty reasonably priced. Let's buy that. And the Canyon Finback Suchomimus skin, which is like 33,000. I think this is priced fine. Let's buy that as well. This is a code skin, which I'll show you guys later. Here is the blinding White Dodo, which is pretty nice. And then we got the Sunfish Shonisaurus, 22,500 DNA. And oh yeah, and then we got the Nidhogg right here for 75,000 DNA. So yeah, looks like most of the prices are reasonable for the unique skins. It's just that the pitch skins are like absurdly expensive for some reason. But yeah, enough about that. Let's actually check out the models now. Alright, so here we have the Blackodile remodel, which looks pretty good. I really do like the walk animation on this guy. Here is the sprint animation. Here are the attack animations. It's got a bite. I think that's it. It has like maybe 1 or 2 variations of the bite. Here's the AoE. Okay, AoE animation looks pretty nice. This is the idle animation, I think. Kind of sits down there. Now let's hear the sound effects, starting with the roar. Moving on to the call. And finally the growl. One more time. Now let's check out the swim animations for this guy. So here's the idle swim. I think that's part of the idle actually, where it's shaking. Here's the swim forward and the sprint swim animation. Here's the swim down animation and the swim up animation. I think these are actually the same animations. And next, let's check out the eat animation. And the drink. Oh wait, I think that was part of the idle where it opened its mouth right here. This is a thing that actual crocodiles do, I'm pretty sure. They just like lie still and have their jaws open. Okay, now let's see the rest. Pretty nice rest pose here. It's like going to sleep. I was expecting the rest to be that thing where it was opening its jaws. Alright, next up we're gonna check out the Wretchwurm remodel, which I didn't even know they added. It might be a little hard to see because we're in the dark right now. I don't really remember what it looked like before, but this model does feel a bit more polished than what I remembered. Here's the walk animation. Here's the sprint animation. Now let's check the attacks. Does it bite? That might be the only attack animation it looks like. If you notice in the idle, it actually blinks, which is a pretty nice detail. That would be the AoE. I do like the AoE because it uses its tail to hit you in the front. Alright, now let's hear the sound effects, starting with the roar. I don't remember if the Wretchwurm always had the split jaw thing going on. I think it did, but you couldn't really see it when it was roaring. Here's the call. And the growl. Alright, and I believe this guy can swim as well. So here's the idle swim animation, where it just stays still like this. Here's the sprint swim animation. And the normal swim animation. I do really like this guy's swim animation because it uses its front limbs to swim, which you don't see often in the game. Here's the swim down animation and the swim up animation, which are actually two different animations because the swim up, the mouth is open, while the swim down, it isn't. Alright, now for the eat animation. And the drink animation. Okay, finally the rest pose. I think we have to be underwater for the rest. Okay, so it kind of just closes its eyes and then starts floating underwater like this. And then notice during the rest pose, I think part of the mouth is clipping behind the back of its head. Okay, so I think that's every single remodel in the update. Giant Albino Berry did not get remodeled. I think that'll be coming out for part 2. But here's one of the new skins, the Sunfish Shonisaurus, which is literally just a sunfish. Like, I don't see any Shonisaurus part of this. Not too much going on in the idle. Here's the swim forward. I think there's a slight difference where the fins start moving during the swim. Sprint swim, I guess the fins move a bit more. This guy also does have oxygen, by the way, even though it is a sunfish, which breathe underwater in real life. Okay, here are the attack animations. Barely really moves. Here's the AoE. It kind of like wiggles, I guess. The eyes start moving though, look at that. Now let's hear the sound effects, starting with the roar. Sounds to me like it's just bubbles. Here's the call. Oh, okay, so the call, it actually kind of makes a noise there. And here's the growl. Just more bubbles. Okay, if we go on land, here's what it looks like idle. It kind of just lies there. Here's the walk animation, I guess. Here's the sprint animation. Okay, now let's check the E animations for this guy. Okay, it kind of just moves its jaws, I guess. I don't think this guy would have any drink animations, being an aquatic and all. Wait, it does, I think. Yeah, the mouth kind of opens and closes during the drink animation, which I'm really surprised because most aquatics don't have a drink animation. Now let's check the rest pose. Okay, so it just lies down, even underwater. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to tell you guys this, but for those of you guys who want the Megalodon Dodo skin, type in this. It'll just be Megadodo, all caps, and then it says you received the Megadodo, which is a Megavore skin for the Dodo right here. Skin is completely free, and I just noticed that the map is different. It doesn't look too different from the map before. If you didn't really look around, you might mistake this for the same map. But yeah, let's check out the model now. So this is going to be part of the idle animation for the Dodo Megavore. Looks like it's roaring, but no sound is coming out. Here is the walk animation. Just looks like this. And the run animation. Here's the attack. I think it's got maybe even 3 different attack animations. Here's the AoE. Okay, so the AoE kind of just bends down and bites. Now let's hear the sound effects, starting with the roar. I do like how they made it sound like the Megavore roar, sort of. And now the call. Let's hear that again. It's kind of hard to see the animation because it keeps moving and idle. And now the growl. One more time. Alright, now let's check the E animation. Bends down and bites like this. And yeah, this guy does not have a unique E animation for eating trees. Now let's check the drink animation. Here is the swim animation. And the sprint swim animation, I think. Alright, finally for the rest pose. So it kind of just sits down like a normal dodo. Alright, next up we have the Nidhogg skin for the Purussaurus. This guy is actually a lot bigger than I thought, and it looks pretty similar to the Wretchwurm in many ways. Here is the walk animation. And here's the run animation. I think it actually opens its mouth. Yeah, like there's like a kind of a roar during the run animation there. Now let's check the attacks. Okay, so it does a giant bite there. Is that the only attack animation it has? I think it's got like 2 variants of the bite, but it's kind of hard to tell which one is which. Alright, now let's check the AoE. I don't know if the AoE is intentional, but it kind of jumps forward. But the animation looks weird. Maybe the animation is broken. I don't know. Now let's hear the sound effects, starting with the roar. Now the call. One more time. And finally the growl. Yeah, I really do like the roar animations and the sound effects for this guy. Alright, now let's check the swim animation. So here's the swim idle. Kind of like looks around during the swim idle. Here's the swim forward. And the sprint swim. I do like that sprint swim animation where its arms are pointed forward. Here's the swim up. and the swim down, which look pretty similar. Now let's check the eat animation. Is it actually going to have two different eat animations, I wonder? Because it kind of does a roll during the eat. On land, the eat looks like this. So yeah, it does have two different eat animations, which I really did not expect. I wonder if we missed out on the Wretchwurm then. Here is the drink animation. And finally, the rest pose. Okay, I do like the rest pose. It looks different than the Wretchwurm rest pose. It's got the tail curled in, and it looks like it's asleep. Alright, so here we have the Rake Father skin for the Amargasaurus, and it kind of just looks like a theropod. Two little arms coming out of its shoulders. Yeah, not really much going on in the idle. Here is the walk animation. And here is the sprint animation. Now let's check out the attacks. Okay, I think it was like a tail swipe there. And a bite. That might be it for the attack animations. It's just a tail swipe and a bite. Now the AoE. So it does like the sauropod stomp, but with its arms here. Now let's hear the sound effects, starting with a roar. Okay, let's hear that again. Now the call. The call is kind of soft, actually. Now the growl. One more time. Okay, now let's check the eat animation. So it actually does bend down while it's eating the bush here. Does it rear up when I'm eating a tree? It does, I think. It doesn't bend down at least, so it looks like there's two different eat animations for this guy. And now the drink animation. I don't know if it's bugged or something, but I can't drink the water. I have to tilt down like this. That's what the drink animation looks like. Here's the swim animation, which kind of looks like the walk. This is the sprint swim animation. And there is no swim up or swim down animation. Alright, finally the rest pose. Oh, okay, this is pretty interesting. So the rest pose, it kind of sits down, tucks its neck actually, and then the two side arms stick up like this. This is pretty cool. Alright, next up we have the Canyon Finback Suchomimus skin. And I do like the way this skin looks. And this is a pretty unique skin. Like, this doesn't look anything like Suchomimus or any other dinosaur for that matter. It kind of looks like its own thing. And yeah, not too much going on for the idle. Here's the walk animation, by the way. You can see how short the limbs are, which makes me feel like this is like primarily an aquatic. Here's the sprint, which kind of looks like a salamander moving. Here are the attacks. One of the animations, it just shakes its head. Oh wait, here is part of the idle actually, where it rears up. So there's three different attack animations. There's the bite, the head shake, and then the head swipe, I think. Now let's check the AoE. I do like that AoE animation a lot. Let's see that again. So it jumps forward at you, it does a 360. That's a pretty cool animation. I'm curious to see what it would look like underwater. Okay, so here's the idle swim animation. It kind of just stands still like this. Fins on its arms kind of move, or not on its arms. It looks like it's attached to its elbows. Here is the swim forward. And here's the sprint swim. And here's the swim up animation and the swim down animation. They look pretty similar actually. Now let's try the AoE underwater. I am impressed. That looks pretty cool. So there are two different AoE animations. I'm wondering that if we missed a few of the animations, because this looks really nice. Okay, now let's check the eat animations. So it eats like this on land. I don't think it's supposed to be rearing up. That's just part of the idle. All right, now let's check the drink. It's pretty standard. And now the rest pose. Kind of looks like this. I want to see if it's possible to rest underwater. It is possible. Okay, so this guy has two different rest animations, one underwater and one on land. All right, now we have the blinding White Dodo, which looks like a dinosaur arcade skin. Here is the walk animation. And here is the sprint animation. All right, now let's see the attacks. It's got a peck and a bite, it looks like. And yeah, it does have this glowing effect around it, which is the point. That's the AoE. I think what they said with the blinding white skins is that this is going to be the opposite of the pitch black skins, which is going to be like its own separate series, which is, I guess, pretty cool as long as the prices aren't insane. Let's hear the sound effects now, starting with the roar. Okay, let's hear that again. Very short sound effect. Next, the call. One more time. And the growl. Okay. I guess another skin this reminds me of is the Pitch Black Elasmosaurus, I think, which also has like similar style to this. Okay, now let's see the swim animation, which looks like this. Sprint swim looks like this. Doesn't have a swim up or down animation. Let's see the E animations now. Pretty standard. I don't think it has a different E animation for the tree. Yeah, it doesn't. Eat drink animations. Also pretty standard. And I think finally let's check the rest pose, which looks like this. It's got the neck tucked. Alright, finally we have the Pitch Black Megalodon, the clam Megalodon obviously, and they gave it horns for some reason. The model is also really blocky. This is like dinosaur arcade style. Not sure why they made it like this, but it's a pretty interesting skin. It's got like the pitch black colors. This is the only pitch black skin that's actually affordable. It's Black Friday. Idle animation, not much going on. It kind of opens its mouth and floats. Here's the walk animation. It kind of just jumps around like this. Here's the sprint animation. Kind of just moves around faster. Here's the fly up animation. Here's the normal flight animation. And the fly in place animation looks like this. Here's the fly down animation, which it surprisingly is animated since its mouth is open and it's starting to shake. Here's the sprint fly animation. So this guy can also swim as well. So here's the idle swim animation. The swim forward. The sprint swim. Swim down. Swim up. Alright, now let's check the attack animations. So that's a bite. I think that might be it in terms of attack animations. That's the AoE. Kind of does a shake there. Now let's hear the sound effects, starting with the roar. Pretty interesting sound effects. Now the call. Sounds kind of distorted actually. And finally the growl. Yeah, very interesting sound effects for this guy. Okay, now let's check the E animation. Yeah, not really too much going on here. And this guy's thirst bar doesn't really go down. I think we can still drink though. This might be the drink animation. Surprised they gave it a drink animation even. So the rest animation, it just tilts down. And yeah, that's about it. The back pattern does look kind of cool. Looks a bit different from the front pattern here. Alright, that's about it for Black Friday. There will be a part 2 with the Giant Albino Baryonyx remodel and the Skelewyvern remodels. But yeah, for part 1, this is everything. I'm not going to showcase the Pitch Black skins, or at least the expensive ones, because I cannot afford all of them. And I don't think they look that great to buy, and they're 1 million minimum each, so yeah, definitely not worth it in my opinion. If you guys want to see a showcase, I might still make a video, but I'll need someone else who has the skin to help me out here. So yeah, Black Friday part 1, disregarding the glitch with the limited egg system, isn't that great in my opinion, especially the prices. I don't think any skin should be 1 million DNA. I am glad that most of the cool looking skins are pretty cheap compared to the really expensive Pitch Black skins. Comment down below what you think of the Black Friday event and the new limited egg system. And yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.